Hi everyone, so today we're going to talk about timbre and extend on that topic by talking about a new concept called instrumentation. So let's get started. So we're back in Paint Composer, and just a review, timbre is the unique quality of a voice or instrument, any sound making thing that makes it different from one another if everything else, pitch, dynamic, duration, timbre are the same. So this is why the alien heads sound different from the goblets, and the goblets sound different from the bishop frogs. They extend further though to something called instrumentation. So instrumentation is defined as the art of combining the sounds of a complex of instruments to form a satisfactory blend and balance. That comes from a resource called Grove Music Online, very common encyclopedia style resource for any music related discipline. And depending on instrumentation, music can have a pretty different effect. So for example, we have a piece by Camille Saint-Saëns called The Elephant, which is from a larger piece called Carnival of the Animals, where it's written for double bass. Piano introduction though. So it's written for double bass, that's the original version. But say we take that first melody and set it to a different sound. I went ahead and put it in Mario Paint. So that's the bishop frog version of the elephant. And the Yoshi version of the elephant. And the school bus version of the elephant. So each of these types of sounds have a very different impact on maybe how this melody feels to you. In the case of the elephant, you just using the double bass, it's a big old instrument. So in some ways there are parallels to the animal that Camille Saint-Saëns is trying to depict. So this is an example of a choice of instrumentation that in this case was quite intentional for multiple reasons. And as you observed, if we change the instrumentation, that can make a big difference. So I started looking around for other instruments that are not double bass, and I found this one that was kind of cool. So that's a theremin. This is an electronic instrument that was developed in 1928 or so by Leon Theremin. Cool early electronic instrument, and does a good job playing the elephant, though I think that there is some effect lost in the fact that this is just a much smaller, less physically intensive instrument to play. So now we're going to check out instrumentation and timbre in the context of Animal Crossing New Horizons. This is a game I played a lot in 2020, and one cool thing about this game, and also other versions of the game, is there's a lot of music that's dependent on the time of day. So every hour in this game has different themes associated with it. There are a lot of videos on this topic that I encourage you to check out, and we'll check out some of them later on in this semester. But for now, we're going to check out the music to 5 p.m., which has a sunny version, a rainy version, and a snowy version. And I'm grateful to the user Tori2 who took the time to upload these. So we'll start with the sunny version. So this starts with a keyboard, guitar, bass guitar, drum set, typical band instrumentation. The guitar and drum set have this funky, slower tempo groove, and the guitar is using a more mellow sound. They have a wah pedal on, so that also changes the way the note sounds in a very expressive, rapidly changing sort of way. And the drum set and the electric bass line up on a lot of the bigger hits. The keyboard has some block chords. And then at 13 seconds in, the melody comes in. It's a buzzy, kind of warm sounding synthesizer sound. And it's also very bright in timbre compared to everything around it. And I would say, especially in Southern California, the sunny theme is what you're going to experience at 5 p.m. most of the time. I feel that based on the tempo and the type of instrument choices, it is not a very high energy type of background music, and it really is meant to accompany someone that might be winding down their day, either in the game or in real life or both. And yeah, that's a sunny theme. So now we will check out the rainy theme. So this is the same music, but the rainy version. So let's see how similar it is. So the first thing that we notice is there's no drum set. There's no bass guitar anymore. The instrumentation, therefore, is a lot more minimal. But the composer has added a marimba, which is a percussion instrument where sound is created by striking wooden bars. It's a bigger version of what usually people call the xylophone, which is more popularly known for reasons I can't understand other than the fact that it begins with X and we needed an alphabet note. But the difference here is pretty subtle. We still have the same groove, we still have the same tempo, the same pitches, just a slight difference in the instruments that were chosen. And in this case, the melody comes in with the same type of sound, a synthesizer. So that is basically the same. So the main difference between rainy and sunny is the lack of drum set, the lack of bass guitar, and Rainy's addition of marimba. And this, I think, gives a more muted quality to this, which you might expect, because if it's raining, it's going to be gray outside. And I think from a purely logistical, technical viewpoint, there's rain sound happening as you are walking around the island. So thinning out the instrumentation like this also helps with making it not super overstimulating to have this background music along with the rain. So the next theme we're going to check out is the snowy theme. So far, same as the rainy theme, but
Merry Christmas, everyone!
we have sleigh bells. So sleigh bells are quintessential winter Christmas holidays, everything December sort of sound. They happen in a lot of Christmas music, and they're associated real heavily with things like Santa Claus or otherwise winter traditions. And it's just sprinkled in. Just a little bit, a little hit here and there. And then when the melody comes in, instead of just that synthesizer, we have an addition of what sounds like a glockenspiel sound. So the glockenspiel is another mallet instrument, but the bars are much smaller, creating a higher pitch in general, and also made of metal, which creates a, you guessed it, metallic timbre, much more clear, resonant, bell-like. And the glockenspiel is also heavily associated with winter holiday time. An example that comes to mind for me is Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies. So the Nutcracker is a popular holiday ballet. The Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy is a solo that features technically the celesta, but it sounds quite similar in some ways to the glockenspiel. But otherwise, this is pretty similar to the rainy track with applying these instruments that very heavily connote winter quite tastefully. It's easy to go overboard on these instruments, and the challenge is they really are used in a lot of holiday music, and therefore if you are an experienced listener in Western classical or Western pop sort of culture, you're going to think of that stuff. Again, that's not the case for everyone, but I think if you are an American music listener, holidays come to mind. These type of musical devices, when an instrument strongly reminds us of something outside of the music itself, is called a trope. They are used in game music a lot, so you'll see it again, and I'll be sure to mention it when they do come up. A great way to think about tropes is if you hear a sound and it really strikes you as familiar from somewhere, try to think about where that might be from. Like, did you hear it shopping somewhere? Did you hear it at a certain time of year? Did you hear it in a particular place? If you were experiencing it in some sort of media, whether it's film, TV, game music, what's going on in the gameplay that might warrant that sound. So that's it for this video. We talked about instrumentation primarily today, and we expanded a little more through that on the concept of timbre. One way to keep them organized in your mind is to just imagine that every instrument, every voice, so if we have Dr. Kilroy's voice and a violin or a double bass, each of those sounds are going to be described with their own unique set of timbre words. And while there might be overlap, they're going to be unique, and that's why we generally use 2 to 3 timbre adjectives to describe. Timbre, again, is a quite subjective concept, so your timbre words to describe something may be different from your friends, and they may be different from mine, and that's okay, as long as you use appropriate words that you can find in resources like the Timbre Words cheat sheet. So thanks for watching, and on to the next one.